Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Tokyo Tropic Turtles Draft to Glory franchise mode here in MLB The Show 24. So in last episode, we had the Year 9 draft, and I would say it was probably one of our weaker drafts that we've had in this series so far. However, we did get some occasionally good steals, like Vincent Chang, for example, who's a 71 at 18 with 87 potential. I think he's going to be a very good closer to have behind Vincent Chung, or what's the other Chung's name? Is it Vincent Chung as well, or no? Philip Chung, there you go. So anyways, he's going to be a good number 2 closer to have behind him or like in AAA for a little bit. But very excited for him, of course, with our 3rd overall selection. We also drafted like Walter Lee, who's not going to be that bad, I'd say, as a reliever, considering he's a 65 overall. I think he could definitely outgrow that into being just an okay reliever for us at the major league level at some point. And you can see the rest of our picks were kind of mid, like Saito has no potential really, but I think he could outgrow it maybe, but obviously it's going to take some work. He is only 18, so hopefully that helps him out being only 18 years old. Tom Chen's not very good either, very low overall, low potential. Michael Yamamoto is okay, but he is already 21 years old, so hoping he could just become a standard reliever at some point. And then Vincent Wong really isn't really much either. At least he has a good starting overall for a D potential, so there's a chance maybe he could grow into a C potential as well. But obviously, we're just hoping on a lot of players developing more than they actually should. So it wasn't really the good draft for our team, but at least we managed to draft some okay players. And then some of the other teams really didn't do too well either. So I would say in general, it was just kind of a little bit of a weird draft for our team and for other teams around the league. But I'm excited to get into the rest of the season simulation because I'm excited to see how this team finishes off the year because we are having our best season in franchise history. We're 33-78. So we should be able to hit 40 wins this season, which means hopefully next season we could even take that to 50 wins and start getting this team into being closer and closer to being a playoff team. Obviously, we do still want to have good picks in these drafts and such coming up because obviously we will be eventually getting to a point where some guys will start to retire or drop off due to age because if we look at our roster right now based on age, obviously all the low-end guys are not players I've drafted, but if we go down to like 28, I think is one of the oldest on the team. Yeah, like Kevin Sato and Walter Cho already are 29 and 28 years old. So we obviously need replacements for those type of guys once they also start to drop off in their 30s. Russell Yang's already 27. Iwo Mur's already 26. So we have a little bit of a tight window to start getting good prospects in to basically replace these guys once they start to drop off or start to retire. So hoping that we can obviously have a good draft again next year and start building up more prospects, but I'm also hoping that our team continues to start developing even more so because I think we should be able to, just based on the guys in the system. Like there is some guys in the system I'm very excited about that will probably be in our lineup next season. For instance, like Theodore Lee, who's batting a 275 in AAA. I think he could probably be our number 1 first baseman next year, which means we'll see what he could do in our lineup. Another guy I'm really excited to see what he could do next season is, who was it? Oh yeah, it was the catcher Charles Nomo. He's batting a 296 right now in AAA, and he's up to a 75 overall. So I think next season he'll probably end up being our 3rd baseman. It depends, I guess, if he outgrows Kevin Sato, but I think he'll definitely be in our lineup next year. And he honestly could be a September call-up in this episode as well because he's been so good. Like 18 home runs as well. I think he's definitely been a bright spot for the AAA roster. So, yeah, just hoping that our roster gets better as these seasons go on. And then hopefully we get sooner and sooner to being an actual playoff team. I don't know if it's going to be very tough for us to change from basically a team that's winning games in the regular season to a playoff team to a team that's winning the World Series. But obviously I'm still hoping out that it is possible that we could turn this team into a World Series contender at some point in time. But anyways, let's get into your one and only comment we got from last episode, and then we will get into simulating the rest of the season. We will not do the off-season in this episode just because this episode will be way too long if I do the off-season in this episode as well, because what I'd like to do is start doing the end of the season in one episode, basically, and then I recap like the player stats and that type of thing, because we're now at the point where our roster is actually full of players on our team. So the one and only comment is from Ryan the Sharky, who says, number 1, yearly Louis. Hopefully he didn't have a pulled groin this year. Number 2, Rip Louise. Too bad he's not that good. And number 3, congrats to Tom Lee, gone from D potential to an A. And yeah, Tom Lee went from D potential to A potential, which is fantastic. He's been really good and building upon his Rookie of the Year season. So hopefully he has a good year ahead. And he wants me to tick on Lewis. And then, yeah, Louise was not that good in the draft. He's like a D potential type of guy, unfortunately. But let's take a look at Lewis, because obviously it's kind of fun just keeping up with the meme players and seeing what they're up to. I don't remember what team he was on. I think it was like Baltimore still, but I don't know if he got dealt or not. No, he's still on Baltimore. Okay. He's only in single A, so they're not actually even playing him right now. It's kind of sucks, but he is developing. He's up to a 57 at 20 with C potential, so hopefully he gets into their double A roster next season, because I think he wasn't double A last year if I remember right, so it is going to probably take him a while to get to the major league level if he even gets there, but he might become just more like a AAA type of player for them. He does have very good speed, but his other stats definitely need some work, but he is developing across the board, which is good for them. So shout out to Lewis, or Louis. Yeah, I don't know which one it would be pronounced as. What country is he from? Arkansas. He's from Arkansas in the States, so it's probably Lewis, because if he was from like a French kind of area, maybe he would be Louis, or not Louis, Louis. Goddamn, I can barely even think of how to pronounce these names now, because there's Louis, there's this Louis. I could say Lewis too, and it's a very big tongue twisters. At least he's not injured with that pulled groin that I was joking about before. Okay, so anyways, there's that. We do have some contracts we could dish out before the end of the season as well, which I'm not opposed to doing, so probably Stan Nguyen and Peter Yamazaki are going to have to get multi-year deals, maybe also with Kevin Sato, because some of these guys are getting closer to being pending free agents. Same with Tom Lee. Some of them we might have to wait till the offseason episode, but I am going to see if we could already get Stan Nguyen maybe on a good little contract here, because he's been fantastic as well. We'll give him also an 8-year deal, but let me just do the trick that was mentioned in a prior episode, which was putting this to the max first for 1 year, and then changing it to 8 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was the case. So I go like this. Yeah, okay, yeah, I see how you can do it now. And then we put it down. Or no, that's not how we do it. How did we do it? I think somebody said there was an easier way of doing this. I want to make sure I'm doing this the right way. I know this from like 2 episodes ago. Or 3 episodes ago, goddamn. These episodes just go by really quickly. Let me see if I could find what somebody was saying again. When giving long contracts, set the salary to just 1 year, and then change the duration. Oh, okay, no, this is the right way of doing things. Okay, I think that's how we were supposed to do it. But now we need to go... Oh, wait, actually, no, wait. If I go 1 year, and then I put it to where he should have some interest still, it should stay the same, basically, for the other years. So let's actually just put this for the 1 year for now. And see what we can get it to. And we got to change it to like 8 years, and it should keep the same interest, basically, is what I'm trying to get at here. Wait, why is his interest not changing whatsoever? Is this a glitch? Yeah, it must be. It must be a glitch, unless Stan Nguyen just doesn't really want that much for 1 year. Oh, he only wants 780k for a year, so if I put this to 780k for the year, and then change the term, it does not keep the same interest. So I guess I do need to put it to the max in order to do that. Okay, maybe it was the way I was doing it beforehand. Trying to understand this method a little bit. So we'll go to the 40 million, and we'll go to 8 years here. That'll take him till he's 32, and we'll go scroll down until we get to a reasonable price here, which still takes a while, but at least it's still a little bit faster than normal. Actually, weren't we going to do a front-loaded contract probably? Yeah, we are going to do a front-loaded contract. That should help as well, because front-loaded deals, I think, are the way to go right now, just based on the fact that these guys will be cheaper when they're in their like best condition, so to speak. So we'll do another front-loaded deal. And then eventually we'll start going to not front-loaded deals, just based on the fact that it's going to get too expensive, I feel like. But I would like to get Stan locked up as well, so that way we have 3 of our pitchers signed long-term. And then we might have to think about Yamazaki obviously getting a long-term contract this offseason as well, because he's our best batter at the moment, and he's got good potential too. And he's definitely been our best hitter this season as well. So we'll give him a contract as well, I think, maybe in this episode as well. We'll see. And yeah, hopefully we could get Stan signed up for a nice little 8-year deal. Technically, I could go longer with Stan, but I don't know if he's going to drop off or not. He has been very solid so far up to this point, but obviously he had an injury this season, so I just don't want to take a chance that he all of a sudden goes down with like a really long-term injury and then his career's done or something like that. So it looks like if we're going to be able to get him on an 8-year deal, we should be able to maybe get him for like 157.5. Maybe I could even go lower than that. 155, would that work? 155, that is probably pretty good. 19.4 million a year. Let's try it. 8 years, $155 million, and that's accepted. So Stan Nguyen on board on a long-term contract. What is it going to cost for Yamazaki on an 8-year deal? Decent chunk, it looks like. Let me see what I could do with Yamazaki. I might not be able to give all these guys contracts right now. I might have to wait till the off-season because of the budget constraints. But let's go 8 years on him as well. Let's do a normal one with him, just based on the fact that we've already front-loaded 3 contracts. It's kind of funny that the expectation that one Patriot, everybody's happy with the fact that there's a lot of Asians on this team or something. Maybe. Oh man, I wish this part didn't take so long to scroll through this though, but I understand why. Maybe I should have put it up to what he wanted for 1 year. Oh, I think I understand now. Maybe actually, let me go to this and try this out here. We're gonna go down here. See if I could. Actually, we'll go to what he wants for 5 years, which is 24.8. And you know what? I don't even want to do this right now. I'm going to wait till the offseason, I think, to deal with these other contracts. Yeah, I'm going to wait till the offseason. Just because or else this episode is going to be way too long. So anyways, we got one contract dealt with. So Nguyen is on board for a long-term deal. He'll be making 26.4 next season. Jung is going to be making 18.4 next season. He's going to be making more than Parker Iwamura, basically, as Stan Nguyen for a little bit, but it is what it is. And we have our 3 guys locked up, which is awesome. So that is good. Let's take a look at AA and get the rest of their season done. They are currently 9-24 on the season. So we'll see how they finish off their year. And then obviously we'll take a look at AAA and stuff like that as well. But let's see how AA finishes off the year. And we'll see if our Major League team obviously gets some wins as well. Stan Nguyen gets injured literally as soon as I gave him that contract extension, but it's only a bruised hand, so at least it's not too long term. But that is still not great, as Tom Cho has been injured with a lat muscle strain. At least it's only for a few days as well, because Tom Cho has been really good. And Vincent Tan has pulled a leg muscle. Why do I get so many injuries like back to back to back to back? Like, it's actually insane. It's actually kind of annoying too at the same time. Let's see. Nguyen's back in the right spot. That's all I wanted to make sure on because Nguyen is important. We did get another win in our AA season, which is great to see. There's another win. Tan's back. Let's go auto on that. That should put him back in anyways. Wanyang Chang has sustained an injury only for a few days as well. And he's already back, which is great. And Tom Cho is already back too. Richard Chen has been injured. I feel like I need to turn down injuries somehow if there's a way of doing that. Walter Cho is back for the Major League team, which is great. Because Walter Cho has been out for a while. He has been one of our better relievers in the Major League. And he will be back as a mid-reliever. Yeah, that could work. Yeah, he's been really good as a reliever so far this year. So I'm happy to have him back in. And hopefully developing a little bit more. Even though he is technically 29 years old at this point in time. Oh, Eric Yamashita is still out with his injury. But he will be eligible to be reinstated soon. Which is great. Stan Nguyen has pulled his back muscle. See, that's why I'm a little bit worried about Stan Nguyen with giving him that contract because he's been injured 3 times this season. At least they're only like somewhat short-term injuries for the most part. Russell Lim has sustained a fractured wrist and is out for 2 to 3 months. That sucks because he's been doing really well this year. I think he's the one that's in AA because I think we have 2 Lims. There's like all these guys with the same last name that I get really confused, but I think he's one of the guys in AA. We need another valid lineup in AA, so let's readjust this. So we'll put in Almanza, because why not? We'll just throw them into those same spots. That's good. All right. 13-39 for the AA team. Let's get the rest of this simulated up here as well. Auto on that. And we need to do our September call-ups before the end of the AA season, which kind of sucks, but we need to do that. We're up to 40 wins in the MLB. Let's go. Let's go. 40 wins, which means we've had 7 wins since we last looked. So that was a good month. So after that 5-4 win that we had in last episode, we win 10-5 over the Tampa Bay Rays, who are almost around 500, so that's pretty impressive. Leonard Soto gets credited with the victory. Then we win 4-1 over Detroit, who's also around 500. Walter Jung getting credited with that win. Jeez, I can't talk for some reason. Then Robert Matsui gets credited with a 2-1 win over the Tampa Bay Rays as well. We also beat Tampa 8-4 as well. So 3 wins against Tampa in the same month, which is pretty impressive. Then we beat the New York Yankees, who are above 500, 9-5. So that's very impressive. We win 5-0 over the White Sox, a 5-0 shutout for Parker Iwamura. I don't know if he pitched all innings in that game. I don't think so, but we'll check on that. And then a Pittsburgh win as well from Tom Koo with a score of 2-1. How is Pittsburgh doing? They're well below 500, but we've been a lot of good teams that month. Even Chicago White Sox are above 500 now at this point in this universe. But let me take a look at this game, because it could have been a shutout for Parker. Parker won all 9 innings and got a shutout. Let's go, Parker. That's fantastic. Only gave up 6 hits through 9 innings. Parker is the GOAT. He's definitely trying to make a name for himself and potentially getting a Cy Young, but obviously the lack of wins is probably going to hurt him. But he's definitely been my Cy Young winner for sure, based on how he's played with this team. Okay, 40 wins on the MLB season. Love to see it. We got to do our September call-ups, which means we need 3 people called up from the minors. So we need to go to our 40-man roster. And who do I want to call up from the minors? Charles Nomo is probably one of the guys for sure. He's been fantastic in AAA. 26 home runs, 74 RBIs now, batting at .295. Yeah, I think we got to call him up. I think we got to call him up for this opportunity. He's definitely deserved it, so we'll call him up and move him to our MLB roster. So come up, Mr. Nomo. We need 2 more people to come up. We will call up Brian Shin as well in them, because he doesn't matter too much. And I will call up, I guess, I can't call up a pitcher because we have too much pitchers already, I think. So I'll call up as the other one, Shane Sasaki, I guess, because he doesn't matter too much at all. And then I'll move those other guys to, like, that are in single A right now to double A, and that should fill up the roster spots. If need be, we could send some of them to triple A. But Sal Chen to double A, and same with these other, maybe actually Solomon Metner too to double A. That should be good. If we need more roster players, so be it, we'll sign some, but that should be good. Let's take a look at the lineup here quickly. So Nomo, should we get Nomo in on the lineup? Kevin Sato's been great, so I don't know if I want to take Kevin Sato out of the lineup. Is he better against righties or lefties? Better against lefties in terms of contact. Okay. Nomo is better against righties. So we'll get Nomo in against righties, Sato against lefties. Yeah, that's what we'll do, just to get them both around the same amount of playing time. Perfect. Because I want Nomo getting some playing time, obviously, considering he's been killing it. And he's going to be a roster player probably next season based on how he's been in AAA. So he's due for a huge boost this season. It kind of sucks is since I called him up, his AAA stats disappeared. But you guys could have seen how good he was before that call-up. So I think he's definitely going to get a boost in the offseason, probably a +5 or +4, something like that. All right, so that is good. We shouldn't need to make any adjustments unless the lineups in double and triple A need to be adjusted, which I don't think they do. Actually, triple A does need to be adjusted, so let's just get some random guys into those spots because it doesn't matter too much. Actually, we'll get Price in there. Perfect, that's good. Oh, there's another spot available too. We'll just throw this guy in. Mark Taguchi probably should be in the lineup, though. Can Taguchi play like third base? He can't. Perfect. Okay, we'll get Taguchi in over Zoo then, considering he's actually a prospect of mine. So we'll get Taguchi in those spots, and then we'll get these other outfielders into those spots. Perfect. That's all good and ready to go, so we should be okay with the amount of players in each league. Let's go back down to AA and get the rest of the AA season completed. And we'll take a look at some player stats from AA. As Tom Koo has sustained shoulder inflammation, out for 1 to 2 weeks, so at least it's not long term. But it really sucks when we get these injuries consistently. And Russell Lim eligible to be reinstated. Okay. Let's see. Another 2 wins for Double A. Yamamoto has been injured with a bruised hand. It's okay. And Tom Koo is already back, which is great. So the Double A team finishes 17-52 on the year. Let's take a look at some player stats from the Double A team. Wrap up their season. So obviously we had no starting pitchers in Double A, but we had a lot of relievers. So shout out to Pete Kuo, who went 6-2 on the season. He actually started one game as a starter as well because of roster management issues. But a good ERA, good whip, and a solid WAR too. So I'd say a pretty good year for Pete Kuo as a C potential. I think he's definitely in line for a little bit of a boost. Same with Philip Irabu. He was 8-1 as a reliever, which is crazy. He had a 3.08 ERA and a 1.25 whip as a D potential at 18. So I think Philip Irabu is also in for a pretty good little boost as a D potential, considering that WAR was a 3.3. So shout out to Irabu. Tommy Wong was fantastic as well. He lost all his games, but very good ERA, very good whip. He is a B potential 67 at 20. I think he's definitely going to get a little bit of a boost as well. A lot of these relievers in Double A seem to do well. Like Tom Mann even was good. Like I'm really impressed with the relievers that we have in the system. Like a lot of them could get promoted to Triple A next season if they continue to play like this. Some of them might still probably stay in Double A just based on their overalls, but Charles Nakamura, one of the worst out of the bunch, but he was 8-1 as well. 3.44 ERA, 1.25 whip. So all these relievers having like winning records, which is pretty impressive. Because obviously the starters are guys that we didn't draft, and all of them had terrible records. Like one of the starters won 2 games. Everybody else lost every game. So our relievers were definitely the strong thing in Double A, at least at the moment. Wang Yang Cheng was also not too bad for a D potential guy, up to a 58 at 20. Still a long shot to make it to the major leagues, but still, at least he's developing as a D. And an Austin Choi as a closer / reliever. 1-4, but a good ERA and a good whip. Yeah, not bad. How was his blown save? 6 blown saves to 21 saves. Pretty good. So there is the pitching players in Double A. Let's go to the lineup itself now. Tom Cho was fantastic in his first season. He only had 4 home runs, which is a little bit low. But obviously he's more of a contact kind of guy. He is a D potential as well, so you can't really expect too much out of this guy. He had a 279 average, though, so I think he's definitely in line for a little bit of a boost. And hopefully he can get into that C potential range at some point. Russell Yang got 291 average. That's a fantastic year for Russell Yang. Only 8 home runs as well, so he's not really a huge home run guy, but he is starting to at least improve, and he could be in AAA next season. He is already 27, so he's definitely been one of the worst picks we've had in the series, but at least he's doing somewhat okay at the AA level. Tadahito Taguchi, 5 home runs, 37 RBIs, at 258 average. That's not bad really either, considering his overall. Obviously one of the worst of the players on this team, but still, he's one of the lower overalls on the team too. So, shout out to Taguchi. William Bayek in his first season, or Bake, one of the two. 9 home runs, 50 RBIs, a 249 average, up to a 67 at 21. And his contact numbers are getting better. His power numbers are getting better. He's developing quite well across the board. Yeah, he was decent. Not the most insane year for William Bake, but he had a positive WAR too. So very excited to see what this guy develops into. He could be in AAA potentially next year as well. Walter Choi at 234 average, 10 home runs, 46 RBIs. Okay. Double-digit home runs is nice, but the average a little low, but that's okay. Yeah, he did not too bad either. Not too bad either. Koji Yamazaki, 13 home runs, 54 RBIs. That's not too bad either for C potential, really. Yeah, I'm impressed with a lot of these guys here in Double A so far. Excited to see what Triple A is looking like, too, when we get to that point. But 13 home runs is one of the best on the team, right? So, the WAR, not the craziest, but still an okay season for Yamazaki. Ishii at 236 average. At least a lot of these guys picked up some good RBI counts, it looks like. So, Ishii, one of probably the worst players on the team, but that's all right. And then Richard Chen obviously didn't play a full season, but he played 485 at-bats. He had 14 home runs, which actually led the team in home runs, it looks like, despite playing that little amount of at-bats compared to some of these other guys. Actually, no, he had some more than most of the guys on the team, so maybe he actually did play most of the season. I don't even really know. But still, 14 home runs to lead the team, 55 RBIs. A little bit of a low average, but obviously doesn't have that vision and discipline just yet. But he definitely is showing his power game. The WAR was definitely not great, but I think he's definitely going to improve from here on out. Sal Chen only had 15 at-bats since getting called up from single A, and he was not very good. He had a 0.67 average and 1 hit at 15 at-bats, so that's not great for Sal Chen. Obviously, I wouldn't probably demote him after that, but he's probably not ready for Double A just yet. So there is the Double A team. Now let's get the rest of Triple A season done, and then we'll get to the majors, of course. So you guys can see why this offseason is going to be its own episode, just because this season, simulating 3D seasons now, takes a while because we want to look at every player that we drafted stats, and there's a lot of them compared to prior seasons. So let's get the rest of AAA done, see how they finish off their year. And looks like they're not doing too well as Hideki Takahashi in the MLB has been injured with a pulled leg muscle. That's okay. And there's 27 players apparently on Double-A's roster, so we need to take a player off the Double-A roster. So we'll send Metler back to Class A, and that will get rid of that issue. I don't know why that's an issue when they're not even playing anymore, but that's okay. And there he goes. So the AAA team finishes 19 and 131, so Double-A was better than AAA, I guess, this season based on that. Let's take a look at some player stats for AAA. So Vincent Tan, 3 and 14 record, obviously not the best record because the team wasn't really good, but good ERA, good whip, or his whip maybe a little high, but not by much. He is up to a 76 at 23, which means he could be Major League bound next season. So it's going to be interesting to see between him, Matsui, and David Naw who those like number 5 guys are, because somebody's going to have to change maybe into a reliever instead. I don't really know. Or is Vincent Tan going to stay in the minors for a little bit longer? Because we don't really have to rush him, but he could be Major League bound next season. So 30 games started and 16 quality starts. So yeah, good year for Vincent Tan. Very excited to see what he could do. He only has 3 pitches, which kind of sucks, but I do still like this guy. Has very good stamina, so he could probably go very long into games as well. We also have Kazuhito Hayashi, who could be Major League bound soon as well. He's a 75 at 22, so we have a couple guys that could crack our lineup into their pitching rotation next season. Hayashi was pretty solid in ERA and whip. His whip was better actually than Tan's. His ERA was not. 30 games started and 16 quality starts as well, so both these guys did well. So shout out to Kaz and to Vincent Tan. Kenny Rabu, probably the worst of the bunch, but that's okay. 4.35 ERA, 1.5 whip is not terrible considering the quality of the roster still. 30 games started and 18 quality starts. He had the most quality starts of these guys. That's kind of surprising. He's only 19 years old as well, so Kenny Rabu looking pretty good. He'll probably be maybe the ace next year in AAA, depending if Kaz and Vincent Tan go up to the MLB or not. And in terms of our relievers, Akio Yamamoto, 2 and 8 record, obviously not great, but his whip and ERA was not too bad. 12 games started. Wait, he actually started as a starter too? Yeah, he started as a starter as well, so that's a little bit of an issue, so that's maybe why some of his stats don't look as good, but still 12 games started, and he had 4 quality starts as a reliever, so that's at least saying something that he could actually start games too. He has good stamina, so I could kind of see why they maybe used him as a starter at times. David Lim, not too bad, 2 and 3 record, 3.71 ERA, 1.35 whip. He's only 19 years old as well. Didn't start any games, but obviously he's a reliever. Good stats. Not bad. Not too bad. Hiroyuki Yamada, also 3 ERA, 1.25 whip. He is dropping in overall. He's been a bit of a weird player in terms of development. Like, his development hasn't been great. But he's had some solid numbers. So maybe he gets a bit of a boost to try and combat his drop-offness. But hopefully he doesn't drop too much. And that's it for the AAA pitchers. In terms of batters in AAA, Mark Taguchi, only a 171 average through 210 at-bats. Not great. Is up to a 68 at 23, which is not too bad. But obviously, we expect maybe a little bit more of Mark Taguchi. He is only 23. Maybe he'll be better next year. But yeah, he wasn't super well. Theodore Lee, 278 average. His average went up from a 275. He could be Major League bound next year as our number 1 first baseman, because his contact numbers, his vision, his discipline are all very good. Yeah, he could be Major League bound if you guys think it is a good idea already. Or we could wait a little bit still on him. But obviously we don't have a huge window. Stanley Oka was also not too bad. He's up to a 70 overall as well at 21. So not too bad for him. 10 home runs, 39 RBIs. The average just above 250, so that's not bad. OPS is a 705, which is good. Positive WAR. Not too bad for Mocha. Raymond Park is starting to get better at batting average quite a bit. Like, I remember when this guy was hitting like below 200, but now he's batting at 251 this season, so he could be Major League bound soon too, which is not bad. He had an 826 OPS because he's a good home run hitter. So shout out to Raymond Park. Then we also have William Chung, 7 home runs, 35 RBIs. He's taken a very long time to develop. Because I remember when we drafted him, we drafted him, I was hoping that he would develop a bit quicker, but 64-24 is kind of low. I don't know if he's going to make it until he's like 30 years old at this point, but yeah, he did okay. His average was low, his OPS was low, so it wasn't very good for him. And yeah, that might hurt his development. Like, he could drop off to a B potential soon, which is not ideal. All right, so there's all of our AAA players. Let's go back to the major leagues. We've won 47 games now. So we won 7 more games since we last looked again. God damn, man, this major league team is doing fantastic. I love it. So after we last looked, we beat Pittsburgh by a score of 6-4. Robert Matsui getting credited with the victory. Then we beat the Dodgers 3-0, a shutout, potentially for Stan Nguyen. Let's take a look at this, if he got a shutout or not. Yes, he also went all 9 innings. So shout out to Stan Nguyen, getting obviously that contracted and picking up a nice 9-inning shutout. That's the second shutout we've seen in this episode, because obviously Iowa Murray got one too. Then we beat Texas 4-1. Texas is well above 500 and probably a playoff team, and we beat them 2 times. I like it. And then we beat them 3-2 as well, as Iowa Murray got credited with his 9th victory of the season. Nicely done, Parker. Seattle, we also got one win 5-4. Philip Chung got credited with the victory, which means it must have been one of those games that we walked off potentially. It was an extra inning game that we won in the 11th inning. We only had 6 hits in that game, but we somehow managed to win 5-4. So let's go down to this just out of curiosity. So yeah, Walter Cho closed it down for Philip Chung, but Philip Chung pitched 3 innings as a closer. Interesting. David Nahl was the one that started that game. Then we also beat Seattle 4-1 there, as Stan Nguyen got credited with another victory. Nice. Did he pitch 9 innings as well in that one? Curious on that. 7 innings still. 7 innings is a very good performance from a starter. And then we won 8-2 against Seattle again, as Parker Murray got another victory. Wow, Parker's definitely having a fantastic season, man. He's definitely our GOAT right now. So we still have a total of 6 more games left in the Major League season. We hit 47 wins. I think Dylan mentioned a few episodes back that he predicted us to get at least 40 wins. So there's a chance we could hit 50 wins if we could win 3 of our last 6 games, which I don't think is doable, but I mean, we're getting very close to the 50-win season already, which is awesome. And our team isn't fully even developed yet, so there's a good chance that we could be actually a playoff team, I think, if we continue to build the way we are building right now, which is awesome. Anyways, let's get through these last few games, see how our Major League team finishes off. So our first series is against Houston. Can we win any of these games? No, we cannot. So the most we can finish with is 50 wins now. I don't think we're going to pull off a sweep against Kansas City, considering they're 79-80, but if we could win at least one more game to end the season, that would be nice. So can we win one more game to end the season? Sato is injured right at the end of the season, but we do win our last game of the season, and we finished 48-114. Our last win of the season was a 7-1 win for Walter Jung. Did he pitch all 9 innings? Probably not, but let's take a look at that for fun too. He pitched 6 innings, and Sato came in for 1 inning. Chung closed it down after Barrios was in for a little bit. All right. Wow. I'm interested to see what the stats are looking like for this Major League team. 48-114. That's a massive improvement, because if we look at our GM goals now, you can see basically 3 years ago, we only had 8 wins. Then we dropped down to 7 wins. Last season, we had 27 wins. This year, we nearly finished with 50. We had 48. So 21 more wins this year. The team is definitely on the right trajectory. Let's take a look at some player stats for the major leagues. We'll start off with our lineup and then go to the pitchers, because the pitchers I think will be better. But let's take a look at some stats here. So starting off with Peter Yamazaki, 500 at bats, 20 home runs, 55 RBIs, and a 292 average. Yamazaki's getting locked up this offseason, if I can. 20 home runs is great. 55 RBIs is solid too. That average is really nice. Yeah, we're trending in the right direction in terms of hitters too. And that 5.8 WAR is great. So Yamazaki did well this year. So he's definitely in line for a boost. But I think he already might have max potential. So, but still very impressed with Yamazaki. Charles Nomo, who got called up, is now up to a 77. Didn't do too well batting average-wise after getting called up because his vision and discipline's still a little bit low. But he did pick up 3 home runs and 9 RBIs, so he's more of a power guy, especially against right-handers. So obviously that average might be a little bit low, but he did well in terms of bringing in some home runs. And I think he's definitely going to be a full-time roster player next season. We definitely need him to get his vision and discipline up there a bit, though. But I think he'll definitely bring in a lot of home runs in his first full season in the MLB. Takashi is a DH, 213 average. Not really that great. He was a Rule 5 pickup, I think. Yeah, he definitely dropped off a little bit this season, but he's developing, which is good. But not the best year for Hideki. We'll see if he develops any more so than that. Philip Nishi at 228 isn't really good in terms of average, but he did have 54 RBIs, so I'll take the RBIs. But yeah, that's not bad for a rookie season, I guess, as a D potential. You can't really anticipate him to be a groundbreaking player right out of the gate, but he should get some development from that, maybe. What about Tom Lee? Obviously, he won Rookie of the Year last year. Looks like he was on a hot streak at the end of the season. And he finished with 23 home runs and 61 RBIs for a 232 average. The average was better than last year. The home run count was just a bit better. Same with the RBI count. The OPS was better. So Tom Lee's still on the right path. The WAR is still a little bit low, obviously, but I think he'll definitely do better as time goes on. So shout out to Tom Lee. Brian Chu at 219 average, not really what I was anticipating, but 13 home runs is his second best. His RBI count went down a little bit, so a little bit of a down year for Brian Chu, but still, at least he brought in some runs and such. Yeah, he definitely struggled compared to last year. That's okay. Yu Chang doesn't matter too much. William Yokoyama, who was our all-star representative, had 10 home runs and 47 RBIs. He got his average up to a 241, which is pretty nice considering I think when he was an all-star, he was like a 219 average or so around. But to finish with a 241 average after that, I'll definitely take it. And he definitely helped us out a lot defensively, as I think that's why he ended up making the all-star game, is because he was a better defensive player. And also because he's a good extra base hitter, too. Because you can see he had 34 doubles this season, so shout out to him and his speed. We could definitely use that in the future. And David Sasaki, 18 home runs is great, but a 200 average, I hope that vision and discipline can improve. But still, I'll definitely take 18 home runs. But yeah, his average is definitely his weak point right now. But at least he has a positive WAR because of his home runs. So there's that. Then we also have Michael Wong off the bench at 210. 4 home runs, 23 RBIs. A little bit of a down year, but that's okay. He's not a huge prospect anyways. And then Kevin Sato, who obviously was playing against lefties, finished with 15 home runs and 57 RBIs. New career high for him in that department. His batting average dropped off again a little bit, which kind of sucks. His OPS did as well, but he's been relatively consistent at least. So not too bad. Obviously, it wasn't as good as last year, but I'll still take it from Sato. Vincent Seo was also very good. He was only playing, I guess, against I guess he was only playing against lefties or something like that or whatever, but he had a pretty good rookie year. 15 home runs, 56 RBIs, a 266 average, which is great. 745 OPS and a positive WAR. He's also more of a speed guy on the base paths, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 25 doubles, 5 triples. I'll take that from the CO. And I guess Taguchi got called up at some point, but obviously he didn't play a single game. So there is the MLB players. Let's go to the pitchers now on the MLB team, because this is where it's going to be pretty insane to see how good our players did. So Parker Iwamura, a 9-11 record, a 3.29 ERA, and a 1.16 WHIP. He was really good this year. He won a lot of games down the stretch too. 33 games started, and he had 23 quality starts. Parker's the GOAT. I think he already has max potential, so if you want to give him a boost, there's no way possible almost at this rate. But Parker had an incredible year. Just averaged over a home run per 9 innings. He was below a home run per 9 innings before at the start of this episode, I think. But he still was fantastic. Didn't allow a lot of home runs or walks. He also had a fantastic FIP rating. Parker was the guy. And he's now actually at least winning a lot of games. So when this team is actually fully built up, he's actually going to maybe be a Cy Young candidate, I think. Walter Jung, 8-12 record, a 4.25 ERA, 1.37 WHIP. How did Walter do this year? 33 games started, 12 quality starts. Okay, that's the best year of his career. That's the best year of his career. His ERA and WHIP were better than last year too. The best of his career. And then his FIP was really good too. So Walter Jung is developing nicely too, which is great considering him and Parker are signed long term. And then also Stan, who just got a contract, is also looking pretty good as of late. Apparently a 4.07 ERA, 1.12 WHIP. That WHIP is great. ERA a little bit high compared to last year, but 23 games started obviously because he battled quite a bit of injuries this year, and he had 10 quality starts. Not bad. The FIP was a little bit worse than last year, but I think he's still on the right trajectory. He just needs to stay healthy. David Nah, that ERA and WHIP is pretty damn bad. 32 games started, 10 quality starts, so it's okay. A little bit negative. So he wasn't terrible, but the FIP rating suggests that he wasn't really good. I hope that obviously he does better next year, or else he's probably going to get replaced by like Vincent Tan. And then Robert Matsui was a little bit better. 7-16, similar ERA, similar WHIP to David Nah. It seems like these guys are on the same wavelength in terms of trajectory, in terms of growth. 32 games started and 11 quality starts. Okay. Yeah, they're both very similar players, it seems like, which is kind of funny because I think they were both taken in the same draft class. What about our relievers? Leonard Sato, 5-6, good ERA, good WHIP. Let's take a look at these stats. What is the FIP looking like? Really good. That was the second or third best FIP of his career. Sato's still a beast in terms of relievers. Love it. Eric Yamamoto in his first season, really not that bad considering he's not that high of an overall. Yeah, that ERA is okay. That WHIP a little bit on the high end side because it's above like 0.3 or above 0.3. But his FIP was also really good. So we got a lot of good efforts from a lot of the pitchers. Tom Koo, 4.93 ERA. Maybe the worst season for Tom Koo, it looks like. Which is unfortunate because last year he was a beast. But this year, yeah, he kind of had a tough time. Which kind of sucks considering he just cashed out. But hopefully he's back to his game again next season. And then Walter Cho, not too bad. Considering he's a D potential, or actually he just dropped down in potential. I don't think we made him a D potential, but he's 29 years old. Yeah, he might be already on the decline, which means that contract extension is a little bit iffy, but at least it's only $820K that we're paying him. But yeah, he kind of dropped off quite a bit after that injury. And what about a rookie closer in Philip Chung? Not great, but obviously it was his first season. He'll probably be better next year, and when this roster is actually good. Yeah, and only a negative .1 WAR too, so it wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't great either. Or it wasn't good either, obviously. Well, it wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't good, I should say. I don't even know what I'm trying to say at this point. But anyways, there's that. Let's take a look at some stats across the league out of curiosity. See if there's any of our guys up there in terms of stats, because I do want to take a look at that too. And we'll also take a look at who ends up winning the World Series and such this year. We'll take a look at some award winners. Not that it seems like we have any, unfortunately, because I thought we could have, but we'll see if we had any candidates potentially. CO finished 6th in stolen bases, so shout out to Vincent CO for being a speed pace path menace. What else we got here? Anybody else up there in terms of stats? Damn, that Easton Solis guy was a rookie this year, and he won 21 games. It's crazy. What else we got here? So Angels actually looking pretty good this year. Parker Iwamurna finished 7th in ERA on a team that only had didn't even have a 500 record. That's actually kind of nuts. So Parker could be up there potentially as a guy that was a candidate for the Cy Young, but there's a lot of other good pitchers up there too. What else we got here? Shutouts, strikeouts. Anybody else up there in terms of stuff? Parker Iverman was up there in innings pitched. Walks allowed. Walter Jung was the best of our team, tied for 4th with Sandy Alcantara. Parker was 8th. So we don't allow a lot of walks, which is nice. Whip, Parker Iwamura was 4th in whip. Wow. God damn. In pitching war, Parker Iwamura was 3rd. So there is a chance that Parker Iwamura almost won a Cy Young. If it wasn't for Daniel Espino, I think he probably won it. And Shane McClanahan just edged him out for 2nd place. But Parker was insane this year based on that. And in batting war, we have nobody up there. All right. I do also want to look at team stats as a whole here and such. So we had 525 runs scored. We allowed 906, which is still a lot. But if we compare that to the other worst team in the AL, which was the Red Sox, we only allowed 104 more runs than them. Yeah, we're on the right trajectory, I would say. I would definitely say that. Eventually, at some point, our rankings shouldn't be 30th in terms of everything. So, that's good. Okay. So I wanted to take a look at that. I also wanted to take a look at team rankings. We were still the worst in team batting average. Not a surprise. At-bats don't matter. We were last in runs, last in hits, 2nd last in doubles. So we weren't the worst team in terms of speed. That was the Padres. Triples, we were last or tied for last, I guess, with a lot of teams. Home runs, we were dead last, but not by a crazy amount. The Boston Red Sox only had 9 more home runs than us this season. RBIs, we were dead last. Stolen bases, we were not last. We were actually tied for 11th in stolen bases. I'll definitely take that. Caught stealing, we were 5th, so we were actually pretty good in terms of actually success rate too. Yeah, 4th in success rate. That's pretty good. Walks. I don't know if this really matters too much, but I still want to take a look at these fun stats. That's why I want to wrap up these seasons and these type of episodes instead. Strikeouts down there. Slugging percentage, dead last. Yeah, we're going to be still dead last in a lot of stats, but at least we're trending in the right direction in terms of some of them. Errors, dead last. Fielding percentage, dead last. ERA, dead last. Damn, that's kind of surprising. Complete games, we were not last. Complete games, we were tied for 16th with 3. Shutouts, we were definitely not last because we had a lot of those this season. We were tied for 14th. Not bad. Not bad. So the pitching is definitely improving based on some of these stats here. It's 27th in blown saves. All right. So some things are trending in the right direction. That's good. Okay, so let's go to the awards part now and see if we had anybody that was actually close to winning an award this season. So nobody in MVP, but Steve Cortez. This guy's actually kind of insane. He's up to a 99 at 24. If you guys remember him, he was drafted actually by the Kansas City Royals. And by the age of 24, he's already an MVP, batting a 329 this season. This guy's actually insane. It just sucks that he wasn't an Asian player, but I remember seeing him in the draft class. So there's Steve Cortez. These guys don't matter too much. And unfortunately, it looks like, yeah, nobody was up there for the Cy Young. So I'm kind of surprised that Iwamura didn't get up there. And I'm kind of surprised that Solis didn't win it in his rookie season. But Daniel Espino was the best, and he got it. Was there anybody up there for an award? Vincent Seo almost won Rookie of the Year, but Easton Solis definitely deserved it considering he almost won a Cy Young in his rookie season. Anybody else up there for potential awards? Yamazaki was up there for a Gold Glove potentially, which is nice, but he didn't get it. Yeah, unfortunately no awards this season. I felt like some of these guys on our team definitely deserved to be like a finalist, but I mean, there's a lot of good players out there, so it makes sense. Alright, so there is the awards. Final things we got to do to wrap up this episode. Let's just find out who ends up winning the World Series. And the next episode will be the entire offseason. You guys could give me your boosts and also drop-offs for some players in potential for next episode. So, the Atlanta Braves have won the World Series as they beat the Angels. So, Easton Solis got all the way to the finals. No. Let's go with that. Yeah, it was in 7 games. So shout out to the Atlanta Braves for winning the World Series this season. Let's actually go to the awards on that one too, just for fun. Johan Rosas batted at .533, and he was the World Series MVP. Postseason MVPs, you had Kobe Mayo, and you had Ozzie Albies. Okay. So there's that. I think that's almost all we wanted to take a look at. So let me actually put it to similar to the offseason so we could see what we got to do for next episode. In terms of retired players, we did lose all these guys to retirement. They're just players we signed, but I am going to have to write this down just for next episode, because or else I'm going to forget what I might need to sign. We might not actually need to sign much anymore, because we do have a lot of prospects. So we might not need to. Where did my pen go even though? I think my pen disappeared. Well, that sucks. I might not actually be able to write this down, so I'll probably just have to take a screenshot at this point, but that's all right. So lost a bunch of pitchers as per usual, and a second baseman. All right. And Mike Trout retired apparently this season and is now into the Hall of Fame. So he lost in the finals. I think they won a few years ago, though, so it doesn't really matter too much. All right. So final things to end up this episode. I don't think there's really much else than that. Let me just double check here. Yeah, I don't know what there is to end this episode. Obviously, we got to think about these guys. I guess these guys mostly all could leave. Even Yu Chang could potentially leave this team, because we do have guys to replace them. But obviously, we got to think about the big contracts in the offseason. We also got to sign ourselves a manager and a third base coach. But I think this team is trending in the right direction. I think there's a good chance that we could be up to 60-plus wins next season, just based on the fact we almost had 50 wins this year. Because now the GM goals are updated, and you can see this last few years we've been getting better every single year. So if we had 60 wins next season, I think that would be great. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Tokyo Tropic Turtles Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the entire offseason. We'll get through that. And we'll get primed up for year number 10, which should be an enticing year for this team, considering I think this team's developing in the right way. And obviously, we still have guys coming in from the liners too. So it's only going to get a bit interesting with our roster, with all the competitiveness between who makes it, who doesn't, and how good these players actually perform at the MLB level. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.